Hello and welcome back to Jordan Lee Tarot. So today I actually have two decks, but I have three guidebooks. So I have the Light Seers Tarot, but then I have the Seed and Sickle deck, which has a dawn and a dusk guidebook. So I will tell you that I will just read from whatever book I feel compelled to read from, and we're going to see how this flows. So I invite you to tap into just your version of source, of spirit, and just make sure that your interpretations of the energies are for your divine and highest good, and that there are no interfering energies or just mindset or beliefs that will get in the way of the truth of this message. So I want to just put a little disclaimer on any tarot reading that you ever hear is that the mindset that you are in will affect how you interpret that reading. So I have had readings that have kind of followed me around, and I listened to it once, and then it popped up on my For You page again, and I got something completely different out of it. So that might be a message for somebody that might need to go back and rewatch a video for a second time, or might, be encouraged to do so. Um, but understand that our mindset, our beliefs at the time that we listen to or watch something will inherently change how it's interpreted. So we are always evolving, we are constantly growing. But I think that the main thing for me through all of this that feels like a mental minefield sometimes is to go to source, go into that spiritual, quiet, safe sanctuary that you have for yourself. And if you haven't created that, I encourage you to create that. And then you can ask questions like, what is my divine highest good here? What do I need to hear? Is the message of like a gentle nudge towards growth? Or is it a full on smack wake up call? Or is it a gentle message that you're doing just fine and you're being too hard on yourself, right? Every stage of our lives, every stage of our journey, the message is going to be something a little bit different for us and unfold a little bit differently because of where we're at on our path. So, some days you need that gentle message, and other days you need the message that's like, hey, get off your patoot and do the thing you know you need to do, right? Each message is valid, and each message has its timing. So, all right, let's get started with our reading today. We're just asking, what do we need to know for the collective? What do we need to talk about? Okay, we're going to clarify that for sure, for sure. Okay. And then I'm going to jump right into the Seed and Sickle deck. I love this deck. I don't use it that much. Again, that's why it's exciting when I'm feeling led to pull from decks that just haven't been shown on this channel, that I haven't picked up in a while. Kind of it leads to more excitement, for me, that I can tap into something new. Okay. I have to read the definitions of the Seed and Sickle decks just because, and I am feeling called to read from both of the decks for, various of the cards. So we're going to jump right into it. The message that came out first was Death and Rebirth. The second card was the Queen of Wands, the Three of Swords. Clarifying the Three of Swords, we have the Justice card and the Two of Wands. So this feels like somebody who has been through shadow work before. This feels like shadow work to me. This feels like someone who is doing the work. She or he is, or they are really coming into understanding that they create their own reality and they understand the power in that. Okay. The Three of Swords to me is talking about the disappointment, the pain, but it's also a healing process. So something that not a lot of people talk about with this Three of Swords card is that it's actually a card of healing. Um, and I want to share something with you. It's not to do with these numbers, but I had a revelation literally walking my dog yesterday morning, and it's that in tarot, the fives in general, because the tarot is if it's on a table chart, you've got your numbers here and what the numbers themselves mean, meaning the aces through the tens or even through the kings. But then you also have the meaning of each of the suites that they are in. So if we look at the three of swords, we're going to look at threes and what they mean. And then we're also going to look at the swords and what that means. So the swords are always about mental things. The threes are actually about things coming together. So the Three of Pentacles card is like elements coming together. And to me, the Three of Swords card is actually the card of things coming back together after they've broken apart. So this card is at the core a healing card. It's kind of saying the worst is over, but it's acknowledging that it hurt like hell. Okay. And something that I realized, from the fives to the sixes, a lot of times fives are about turmoil, fighting. It could be external fighting. A lot of times it shows up in readings for me anyway, that I've done for clients and even for myself. It's more about a mental conflict, okay, an internal mental conflict. Rarely do I read tarot cards where it's like, hey, there was a brawl and people were, throwing fists. They were literally punching each other. That's not normally how this comes out. Again, maybe other people's tarot readings are a little different than mine, but think of the fives as like something doesn't match. Things are at cross purposes with one another. There is conflict, things aren't settled, and there's a need for change. So fives also indicate change. And then as we go to the sixes, very specifically the swords, the Five of Swords to the Six of Swords. The Five of Swords is that internal conflict, if it does not mean actual brawling, but typically it's, again, mental gymnastics that you're doing, okay? You're struggling, there's cognitive dissonance. Like, that's a really good explanation for the Five of Swords. It's a cognitive dissonance card. Then once you go to the Six of Swords, it's like moving on to calmer waters emotionally. Well, what does that mean? It means you're balancing out your emotions, okay? To cut through like a lot of flowery language. The Five of Swords is internal conflict, cognitive dissonance. The Six of Swords is coming to a point of emotional internal balance. Okay, so those choppy waves of feelings and emotions, they stabilize and allow you to go to the shores of calm. Okay. So I like to clarify because I feel like some of the tarot language is a little flowery for my liking. I'm like, so should I stay or should I go? Like I need the basics here. So to clarify this Three of Swords, because again, this is healing, healing. We're going to the Justice and then the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is typically a, do I stay in my comfort zone or do I go somewhere new? It's also sometimes looked at as waiting for your ships to come in, because again, the threes are things coming together. In the Two of Wands, you're waiting for things to manifest or come together in the physical world. This is like, I've done my affirmations, I have written down and journaled what I want, and I've created a vision board. When is my manifestation going to actually physically show up in my world? Because the wands are that physical action, or maybe even waiting for inspiration to take some sort of action. You're like, I know there's inspired action that I need to take. I just don't know what it is. You could be waiting to, do I apply for a job or do I move and, relocate with the company I'm already at, but in a new position, right? This is that kind of card. The Justice card indicates that this is something that will be balanced out, or that is going to balance out for you, or that you are going to be able to balance out by yourself in a situation if this is all just internal. So again, the Death and Rebirth card as our base, as our beginning point, there is massive shifts that are happening as a result of shadow work that is being done. So first of all, let me say, huzzah. Shadow work is scary as shit. And anyone that is partaking in shadow work, I commend you. Because when you work on yourself, you raise the vibrational frequency of your ancestral lineage 7 generations forward and backward, which is pretty amazing. That is like DNA proven at this point. So when we're making changes and we're bettering ourselves, we are improving the lives of our future generations, uh, you know, vibrational frequency. Like what are our future generations going to be capable of? Well, if we don't do any work and transform ourselves, they're going to have a harder time pulling themselves up. They might get a rung or two ahead of us on the ladder. But if we do shadow work, we're giving them way, way, way more advantage. And then they can proceed to create and do more wonderful things. So I want to jump into these cards that I got from the Seed and Sickle deck. This is the Black Thorn, excuse me. And I'm just going to go with this and go where I'm led with each deck. So I'm only going to read one definition from each card, but they're going to be from various of the decks. So this, I'm being called to the Dusk deck. Okay. Blackthorn. An old woman stands in the woods, her back bent, a raven on her shoulder, and a staff of blackthorn holding her up. Despite her fragile appearance, this is Kalich, the guardian of ancient woodlands. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. People may underestimate you, but you know the true power that lurks within, especially when you are surrounded by people and places that you love. Don't let other people's opinions take you away from the confidence in your own abilities. Okay, that really speaks to this. This is someone, if you see that little flame in her hand, she's starting to recognize the power that she herself holds in any situation in her life. She's like, oh, hey, wait, I can help control this. I can co create the outcome that I want with the universe. I didn't know, but now I know, right? And this might have been a powerlessness as well. So it's the victim mentality card on one side of this, moving through to a healed place where you realize that you can affect your future by yourself. This does end up feeling a lot more like you are bringing your own good things into fruition yourself, but it's done through you. But who's going to be more fair to themselves than you, right? If you love yourself, which hopefully you do. And if you don't, I highly encourage you to work on that, because having that relationship of love with yourself that can forgive the decisions and choices that you made in the past and have loving gratitude for what's to come. Like, man, I'm so proud of me. I can't wait to see what I get to accomplish. I can't wait to see the people that love me in the future. I can't wait to see the money in my bank account as all of my life progresses, like all of those different various experiences I'm going to get to have. So we're going to jump through to the 26, which is the hops card. And I'm being called to the dawn deck for this one. Okay, hops. Let me hold this up so you can see it again. Okay. Walls, buildings, boulders, nothing stands in the way of a hop. Okay. The Romans called it the wolf among the willows for its voracious growing habits. It is an explorer, as are you, moving swiftly over and around the obstacles life throws in your way. You are victorious, rising above the odds. Now is not the time to let anything slow you down. Power. Okay. The third card from the Seed and Sickle deck is the Lily of the Valley. Okay. And no. Oh, it's two. Excuse me. Okay, Lily of the Valley. Let's show that again. Lily of the Valley blooms at the same time that the nightingale returns from its yearly migration. Legend claims that this is because the lily fell in love with the nightingale's beautiful song, but with the lily too shy to confess its feelings, the nightingale is none the wiser and leaves each year for warmer climates. Don't let your reservations hold you back, or you might find that an opportunity is gone before you have the chance to take it. There is courage in being bold, and others will know what you want once you find the strength to say it. Okay, this could be some sort of a love budding message that needs to come out. This, in a more general sense, could just be letting yourself dream the dream. Did you realize that there are people out there that really just kind of fold themselves into one box and they stay there, and even letting themselves say something like, I actually want to paint pictures for a living. Even saying it out loud makes them nervous because everyone in their family has been doctors. And it's so far removed from what they have seen or what they've experienced or the box they've put themselves in that even to admit what their dreams are feels too far fetched. So I had a wonderful relationship with, and when I say it, professional relationship with a therapist, excuse me. And she looked at some of the work that I was creating photographically for a visual arts project that is still going on to this day. And she looked right at me, dead in the eyes, and went, I can see you directing, like directing television, a movie to do with this project. And I'm like, whoa, no, 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 I'm not going to direct. There's some things in the works in my life that will lead to this at some point. I don't exactly know when, but she was giving me the inspiration that I didn't even know was within my heart. And then once I learned that this is truly what I wanted, I started to get really excited. And then I started to talk about it with people that I trusted. And I trust everyone here, right? To say that, you know, these kind of wild dreams that go, oh, no, no, that's not a dream for me. You think it's because you don't want it, when really it's because it might feel too unattainable for you. And so you keep yourself in a position, not even, I'm not going to say smaller than what you deserve. You might just keep yourself in a position that doesn't allow you to actually go for the thing you really want, right? So I always say follow that curiosity wherever it leads you because it's going to take you to unexpected places. It's going to snake you around and double loop you back, and you're going to end up where you need to be. I promise you that. If you keep taking the soul led choices, it will lead you where you need to go. Okay. But this is that card of like, say what you want out loud. Okay. Don't be afraid to like admit it to yourself. And that in and of itself is a huge step for someone who just hasn't come out of the closet when it comes to what they really want. This could be a sexuality card where you're finally admitting, like, no, I really am a bisexual. Um, because there are so many people that feel, especially with bisexuality, they feel like it has to be one or the other, and kind of admitting, no, that I do like both sexes is kind of revolutionary for them. I've seen numerous people that go on to have a traditional heterosexual relationship, but proudly declare that they are bisexual. And I think that's a wonderful thing to kind of admit that to themselves because it's looked at as something even stranger sometimes than uh, being a homosexual. So I, I I think it's a beautiful thing to let whatever is within you come out because we're so unique and different. And it's just a beautiful thing to discover who you are. Like that's our job here is to discover fully who we are. And as you discover it, and once it really kind of hits in your brain in that place where you kind of like go to put things where you're like, okay, I know what category to put this in, right? And you discover something new about yourself. I actually want to become a stand-up comedian. Okay, put it in the I am sure of what I want category and then run towards it as fast and hard as you can and take the steps that spirit guides you to take to get there. And I'm not saying you're going to get there quickly or efficiently. That is above my pay grade. Man, I wish things were more efficient sometimes. But a lot of times that has to do with the internal barriers that we have already put up that we need to get over. So again, it's all us getting in our own way, but it can sometimes feel like an external source that's thwarting us. So I want to put the seed and sickle deck away and I want to pull a few more cards from the traditional tarot deck. My nose is itching like crazy. Oh, that's so odd when it happens because it's definitely to do with the message. All right. Perfect. Four of Wands. This is celebration. This is excitement. This is happiness. This is, I'm going to say, if we want to go esoteric, this is you and all the versions of you celebrating all of who you are. And then if we're going to go more, straightforward with our message, This is friends and family celebrating. This is people who love you finally hearing you say the thing that everyone already knew. Like, we know that you don't want to be a doctor. Okay, you're really good at it, but we know this isn't what you want. Let's get you on the path. Let's celebrate you finally applying to art school instead, right? This is, I think this is support, divine support. So, physical support from people around you, energetic, emotional support from your other selves and your spirit team and your guides. This is everyone going, oh, finally, they're getting it. They're getting it. All right, so 4 of Wands, 3 of Wands, one more. And we actually already have the 2 of Wands. So let's see here. Anything else, Spirit? Whoop. 2 more wanted to jump. Okay. So this is that mental turmoil. It is not the same as the 5 of Swords. I would say that the 5 of Swords is actually more of the mental confusion. We can't feel that way. Da 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 da. Whereas the 8 of Swords is sort of like to that further point where you feel trapped. Your mind is going in a certain loop on a certain track and you can't get it off. And so it's the same thoughts of, I want to do this, but I can't do this. I want to do this, but I can't do this. And you are thinking that you're trapped, but really you're here outside of the mirror, not trapped, but you're trapped in your mind. Again, these crows are always self doubt. Caw, caw. You want to be an artist, but you won't make enough money to live on. And it's like looping around and around and around. But yet you want to be an artist so bad, but yet the money isn't there. Because I was always sold this falsity that being an artist meant I was going to be in poverty. I was going to be poor, mooching off of richer family members. This is that energy. So this 4 of Pentacles is the other side of this, where sometimes we keep ourselves stuck because we can't or won't move forward. The 4 of Pentacles is actually holding on to something so tightly because you want to protect it. So this is the dream that you have that you hold on to so tightly because you don't want anyone else to like get in your way or give you feelings that you can't do that. That's crazy. This is like, do you see how she's clutching her purse? She's holding it close to her. She is very afraid to share these dreams with people. So this is, I think, taking us back to this Lily of the Valley card, where you not only need to admit it to yourself, but you need to admit it to other people and not give a rat's you know what about what they think of this. So I want to just tap into the Wands situation here because we did get the 4, the 3, and the 2 of Wands. And I feel like there's some sort of order in which things are flowing here, and I want to just tap in. Okay, so this is definitely celebration of all kinds. And then the 3 of Wands, this is energy manifested, waiting for the results of your effort, the arrival of opportunities, continuous improvement, and moving in the right direction. So this is progress. So I'm feeling like I'm getting some of these cards in an order that doesn't really make traditional sense with the way I've explained them. But we have the 2 of Wands. So this is the planning phase of things, possibilities. This is where you're sitting there going, do I want to take the chance or don't I? Do I want to take the chance or don't I? And then the 3 of Wands is starting to take the inspired action and then waiting for the results of that. You're progressing forward. Maybe it's little steps at first, but then we're finally getting here and it's the 4 of Wands where everyone is celebrating. So this could be 2 things. The celebration of she's doing it, he's doing it, they're headed in the right direction and they've already made the progress. Or this could even just be the celebration of that moment in your mind where I didn't get the Ace of Swords, but I'm going to say this anyway. This could be that moment in your mind where you have the realization that takes you to the inspired action. And, this came out first. Maybe these did happen in the kind of switched direction that they came out in. This is wondering, should I even take that effort? This is realizing what you want and then starting to head in that direction. And then this is like, hey, I'm making progress forward. I can't wait to see what happens next. And this becomes kind of irrelevant, I guess, because you're realizing, that everyone's happy for you. Everyone's happy for you. They want you to be happy, and they want you to stop overthinking everything because cognitive dissonance is so tricky. Um, it's definitely, you know, I use that example with the artist kind of career because I love seeing artists and people making money doing absolutely ridiculous things that make them happy, right? There's a woman that makes ceramic miniature bathtubs that are like trinket trays. And she sells a bunch of them and she makes them by hand. She loves what she does and it's her full time job now. And she's creating other things as well. But that's what got her started. And she's like, who would have thought that this was the thing, right? That started making me money about 4 years ago. And now my business has taken off. I love the idea of taking the ridiculous thing that is in your head, bringing it out into the world, and actually being able to provide for yourself, like pay your rent, buy your groceries, by doing something ridiculous and wonderful, and that just brings you joy. So that could be making people laugh, telling jokes, being a comedian. This could be painting. This could be making teeny tiny ceramic trinket trays. This could be, I saw people that make like really ornate detailed bugs that are purses. Okay. Like crazy stuff, very niche things that you think, is there a market for that? Yes, there is. And they're making what they need to live on by doing something ridiculously specific that just tickles their soul perfectly. And that's the sweet spot. That's where everybody wants to be. And maybe, it's not that outlandish. Maybe it is just, I want to be a watercolor artist and I want to teach people how to paint because it makes me happy. And I want to use it as a form of, therapy for people. Beautiful. So I hope this message had value. I hope that it found exactly who it needed to find. I think that there's a lot of divine support because it's always in your divine highest good to go towards the thing that is ridiculously specific to you that makes you very, very happy. And so I wish that on everybody. Everybody deserves that. All right, until next time, have a beautiful, beautiful day or night. If you're interested in a personal reading, all of that information is in the description box below. All right, bye.